Well, boom, boom, baby. I hope everybody is having a great Saturday and a great weekend so far. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion, where I say, hey, stories come in all shades, and I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that I am so aesthetically crazy about. And hey, this is the last episode of the season. Can you believe it? We've gotten through season 2 on an amazing journey. So, man, I cannot believe it. Closing out the year with our last episode of the year. So I'm super excited about it, and I hope you are as well. Make sure that you join our Facebook group community. It is growing. Our family is expanding. Facebook.com/group/The Color of Motion. Come join our family, be a part of the conversation. We're having a lot of fun sharing engaging news, just having an all-around great time. So don't want you to miss out on anything for sure. Definitely want to thank our sponsor for this last episode here, DG Graphics. We want to thank them. They do all our graphics, overlays, and animations and help us look good. So if you're a business or a brand looking to level up your brand design and your brand content, looking to start a live stream show, definitely reach out to them because they can help you look good and tell your brand story in an engaging and impactful way. So thank you, DG Graphics, for sponsoring this last episode of the year. You know the drill. Hop on into the comments. Make sure you give a shout out because we definitely want to give you a shout out back. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Say hey. Be a part of the conversation for sure. Also, make sure that you connect with me on all my social platforms. I definitely want to hear from you because getting good feedback from you helps me to make this show better each and every time. And definitely have some exciting things planned for season 3 next year. So your input definitely helps the channel to grow, helps the show to get better. It just gives me a lot of great insight for sure. Also, make sure that you connect with me on the YouTube channel. I always highly encourage everybody to get plugged in there. Subscribe, hit the bell notification, give a thumbs up, comment on the episodes because that definitely helps as well. But there you can check out all the great content that goes up on the channel and check out all the past great episodes that we've had to date. So hop on over to the YouTube channel and become a part of the Color of Motion family. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, hey, I love a great cup of coffee. Who doesn't love a great cup of coffee? But you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Don Terrell. Donate. That definitely helps me to continue to make great content and continue to bring great guests on the show. You can get a membership for $5 a month where there's private content put up for it, or $50 for the year if you so choose. But again, that definitely helps me to continue to, like I said, create great content for you as well. Mr. DeMille, I appreciate you there, brother, checking out our final episode of the season. As always, happy Saturday to you, my good brother there. Thank you so much for always supporting the show and being a part of the Color of Motion family. So, man, like I said, this year has gone by fast. I hope you're having a great holiday season, whatever holiday you celebrate. But, man, 2 more weeks, a little over 2 more weeks, and this 2022 will be done. So looking forward and excited about the new season, and so definitely want you to be a part of it as well. So I hope you are as excited about this last episode is I Am. I've been so looking forward to having my next guest on. He does some amazing work, which you're going to check out. But I'm just so looking forward to diving into a great conversation with him and just learning about his journey and sharing his insights. So, without further ado, let's get this train going. My next guest is an artist from Nigeria, Africa. His range covers from traditional arts to digital arts, but with a main focus on 3D animation production. He started drawing at a very tender age of about 4 or 5 years old and was pretty good at it compared to others his age when he grew up because of the uncertainty surrounding art as a career in his environment. He panicked and went to study business administration in polytechnic, technique instead of art. We're going to ask him about that. 2 years later, he graduated with an OND, Ordinary National Diploma, in Business Administration with no real sense of achievement or satisfaction. It was then he realized he would rather take his chances with art than spend the rest of his life doing something he was at best average at doing, just because of the fear of failure. He faced his fears and went further to sit for another examination in 2011 and got admitted into the University of Benin, UNIBEN, to study fine and applied arts in 2012. It was then his journey to become a professional artist finally began. He earned his undergraduate degree in fine and applied arts with graphics from the University of Benin, and he's been working for about 6 years in the art and animation field on different levels, ranging from a freelancer to a contractor to a full-time artist, and even as an NFT artist. These experiences have broadened his knowledge and further improved him as an artist. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special guest and friend, Mr. Noah Aliu. Noah, good to have you here, Noah. I appreciate you so much for closing out season 3 with us and been so looking forward to sitting down and having a great conversation with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Before I start, you actually tried with some of the pronunciations, but
Oh,
the name of the university is actually University of Benin. So
Benin.
Benin is one of the ancient states in Nigeria, basically known for art. So historically, if you should Google Benin art, you see arts that are over like 200 years old,
Wow.
like even before the colonization of Nigeria. So Benin is a very like strong state when it comes to art. Yeah, you should check it
Awesome.
out.
Awesome. And we're going to put that in definitely in the show notes as well. Uh, I'm kind of curious, what were some of the animations and cartoons you enjoyed as you were growing up in Nigeria?
Yeah, actually, I didn't grow up with the watching of let me say cartoon, because cartoon is actually a Western thing. I grew up watching like traditional Nigerian movies, so I actually started watching cartoon when I was already like in my teenage years. You get, so I was just drawing while I was, let me say, from my early age around 4 till around let me say 12 years old. So when I got to secondary school and I met new people, some from wealthy background and some actually had these comic books and everything. So I was introduced to like Marvel comics and DC comics, the Superman, X-Men and cool. So I was like, this is actually art, and I really love this. So it's actually like feels like a petrol or a fuel in my fire that actually makes me even love to continue what I'm doing. So by then, I didn't see myself doing art professionally, but I just continued doing art for the fun of it. It was let me say mainly the cartoons I loved were X-Men Evolution,
Yeah.
the Batman, um, Justice League, Spider-Man, and actually Spider-Man is my favorite
Yeah, I think Spider Man is
character. So
yeah,
yeah, so
everybody's.
I do Spider-Man like I can say I do thousands of the character like without using
Oh
references
man.
when I was younger. So it
Uh,
was it was fun growing up, but it
so what
wasn't
made you? I
that
mean,
early.
what made you? Pick business administration. I mean, as the first thing you went into. I mean, is that typical that you didn't see kind of an avenue in art immediately, or was it kind of something, the thought from your parents that maybe you should try something different? Or I mean, what was it that just, okay, I need to maybe just try business administration?
Let me say it's a myopic view because then I only see art like painting and drawing. I didn't see art from a digital perspective at all. So I was thinking if I should end up doing that, the best I would do with it is actually painting people's portraits and probably maybe chasing them around with it, or celebrities. See, I made your portrait. Can you pay for it? And I didn't see it like something I can feed my family with. So, but if you look at business administration, it's something that you can work with, especially when it comes to a 9 to 5 job. So it's easier to pick because I know, okay, when I graduate, I can easily work for an organization, or let me say a corporate organization easily. So it's one of the main reasons why I just let me choose business administration because of the financial backing, and I know it won't be that difficult to see a paid job with it rather than me doing something I don't even have a mentor or someone who's going to tell me this is what you can do with it. So it's mainly from an angle of me not knowing what art is deeper than being my hobby.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So was it during your schooling for business administration that you started to feel unsatisfied, or was it after you graduated it was like, man, I really don't want to do this, or really feel like this isn't something I want to do?
Yeah, so actually, I used to tell people something during my OND. So because I only did OND, I'm supposed to do OND and HND because OND means the ordinary national diploma. It's more like a lower certificate when it comes to the higher national diploma. So I only did the OND, but during this time, I always feel like I don't like anything calculating someone else's money. You understand? Because you have
Yeah.
to do a lot of balance sheets, cash book. So I actually hate it very much. I just discovered I don't like it at all. I even prefer doing mathematics than doing maybe anything accounting. So when I discovered that, I was like, no, I'm not sure I can do this. Even if I'm earning from it, I would be a very, very sad person. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so after finishing the program, I told my mom because she was the one sponsoring me. I lost my dad like let me say 10 years before that. So I just told her because I know she's old already. Let me take my chances with this. Let's just pray and I will try not to disappoint because I'm very sure that she won't be able to do it for long. So I had to
Yeah.
like play it like a gamble because if I fail, she fails. So I tried my best and I just went for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you feel like your now do you feel like your business um kind of schooling has helped a little bit in your art career, or given you a little bit of perspective, or do you feel like that was just not so much a waste of time, but just it hasn't really helped or translated in what you're doing now with your art and your graphics?
The truth is, I still feel the same way I felt before leaving the course. The only thing I know I learned from that experience was business angle of things. But whenever it comes to me handling my money myself, at times I prefer to like give that responsibilities to someone else. But the business parts, like me discussing, negotiating, and everything, I still handle that quite well because of the course I was able to like learn some other courses like business law, contract, and so
Yeah,
just basic law. So it really helped, but still I don't like sitting down to like do this little calculation when it comes to when I just like giving that job to someone else.
yeah, yeah.
Though I still oversee everything, but it doesn't interest me much.
Well, at UNIBEN, was that just strictly graphics, or did they have animation as well, or at what point did you decide animation was it, or were you getting into just graphic design and what applied fine and applied arts brought?
Yeah, actually, the course itself is fine and applied art, so it has different branches. The fine arts part of it is mainly for aesthetic purposes, so it focuses on, let me say, painting, sculpture. I think those are the two basic fine arts part of it. While the other ones are textile design, graphics, and ceramics. So the applied art are the ones which you can easily commercialize, like they serve other purposes outside of the
Yeah,
aesthetic, like the beauty of it. So um, they told us all this before we started in our first year and explained like what it means to us. The ones we like to go for, they asked us some questions and let us actually know what it all entails. So during that orientation, during the orientation, I was able to like okay understand what it's about and what I would like to do with it. Initially, I was so confused between choosing painting and graphics. I love graphics, but I don't love it as much as I love painting. But during my third year, I met some other guys doing 3D, particularly not animation, 3D modeling and video editing. So it's gives me this new interest of so I can still do this with a computer, and the fact that I can create a character that has um, the full depth, front, side, back, top view, and everything, rather than just painting a 2D character. So it gives me this new interest of okay, let me still pursue this. So with that, I was now hearing some other discussion with our senior colleagues where they are saying, okay, you can make a living out of it. There are animation studios in Nigeria, which I never knew of before. So with this, I was like, okay, okay, so I can get employed even if I feel at making paintings. So that actually made me think, okay, let me keep this as a backup in case I don't make it as a traditional artist. So because I've been painting even before going to the university, I still have my sketch pads of 2005. I have paintings of 2005. So I knew going to the university isn't actually to learn how to paint or to draw. It's actually to learn something else I don't know about before. So with that experience, I was like, okay, this is something I've never heard of. This is something I never knew is possible with that. So all these cartoons and animation I've been watching, I never even knew it was animation. I just called all of them cartoons.
yeah,
So it's people that actually made them. Not they are not computer generated like that. So it's a career path on its own. So it's really made me happy, and I decided to pursue it. Then
yeah, yeah. Everybody just joining in. Appreciate you, Mr. Alvin. Hello, guys. Love the show. Appreciate you tuning in for sure. Mr. Antoine. Appreciate you, brother, tuning in also as well. Mr. Alvin says, let's network. I'm building a creative and technical Web3 ecosystem for new smart contractors to serve traditional business and entertainment. Definitely, we have to connect for sure. And I need an artist for. Let me throw this up. artist for Community Collective Metaverse and shows. So definitely, Alvin, appreciate you tuning in, and we'll definitely have to connect for sure. So what was it? And you said you didn't know that there were animation studios in Nigeria. Is that growing? Do you feel like it's growing now, and that there's more studios and people that are into it? I mean, when you met the guys that kind of exposed you to 3D, was that a big group, or did they say it was a big community, or what in Nigeria?
Yeah, so people who actually exposed me to 3D were students like me. Actually, they were senior colleagues, like senior students. Then I was in 300 level, and most of them were in 400. So they were doing it more like hobby, not. None of them actually see it like a career path because they always complain of it being so difficult, and at times they do exaggerate. So, but I just like taking the challenge, taking the competition that way. So I felt like, okay, if these people are actually running away from it, then if I'm able to stay there, then it should give me more opportunity because there won't be a lot of people doing it. So when I discovered the 3D animation studios in Nigeria, they were not much, especially the ones who actually knew what they were doing. They were no more than, let me say, three. So, but I started doing the 3D before even discovering the animation studios. So when it was time for me to go for my internship, because there's this 6 months mandatory internship program in the university curriculum in Nigeria. So when it was time for that internship program, so I sent some emails to some of these studios, and fortunately for me, the best studio like replied me almost immediately and asked me to come for an interview the next day. So I was so happy, and I went for the interview, and they retained me and asked me to just resume immediately. So, but the biggest challenge for me then was the fact that where I was staying was very very far from the studio. I was staying like, let me call it trenches, and the studio was actually located in the city. So it's more like a 6 hour journey to the studio. So I
Wow.
wasn't able to like make it every day. So what I did was try to like source for accommodation. But unfortunately, I didn't get one because none of my family members was staying around there. But later I discovered that I have a neighbor who has a store around there. So around that studio, not that close, but it's roughly a 30 minutes drive from there. So I asked her if I can stay in her store, and she agrees, or she agreed. So I was so happy, and during the 6 months I stayed in her store, and I was going to the studio from there. I tried to get to the studio as early as possible before the resumption time. So it was where I waited, and I just resumed work from there. So because the store doesn't have a bathroom, so it was more like an adventure for me. A story that was sounding uh, bitter, let me say 2 years ago, but now it's more like a very sweet story for me to say, because now I can say I'm yielding the benefit of it.
Well, do you feel like, I mean, now it's getting better with the advent of, the internet and not having to you know, work over at a different country or far away or this and that, that it's a lot easier now for you to do work for a lot of people, just with the advent of the internet and working remotely? Do you feel like it's getting better um, you know, in Nigeria as far as artists, and not just Nigeria, but just other countries in other places in Africa uh, to be able to work for different studios?
Yeah, I won't say it's getting better, but I would definitely say it's not as bad as it used to be. Yeah, because from experience, I've actually worked with a lot of studios. I worked with, um, let me say, like two studios in Nigeria for more than 2 3 months. Then the others are basically, let me say, contract jobs. And I worked with another studio in Ghana, Nemax FIB. So that was roughly, let me say, 3 months. Studios are mostly living from hand to mouth, let me say from paycheck to paycheck
Yeah.
most times, because most of these studios have a lot of responsibilities. They have to pay the workers and no funding, no funding. So most studios don't like keeping a full-time worker, and the ones who try to do that, it's very very difficult for them. Some of them you see that they're actually trying, while some don't even care if they are owing you salary or something.
Yeah.
But from experience now, and the fact that I've been doing this on my own also, I've seen how difficult it is to maintain a full-blown studio in Nigeria, and it's actually not easy at all. Some get sponsors while some don't. Some get with some offers and condition and clauses that's not even acceptable. So they just tend to just go away from those kind of contracts and try to do it on their own. While it's not easy, because animation is animation everywhere. Even though you are in Africa, you still need a good computer to work with. You need electricity, you need internet. So it's not that because it's Africa then it should be cheaper or something. So it's
Yeah.
it's a lot of challenge, but it's not getting easier. But it's better than, let me say, 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, from your point of view, what are some of the things that you know need to be put in place or can be done to bring up the industry, not just in Nigeria, but just Africa as a whole?
Yeah, I think if I should say it, it's going to be a bit controversial, but I like controversy at times. So the truth is, most organizations try to come to Africa to to sponsor, to help the poor, to help startup companies. While I see that that's a good omen, that's a good motive, but most of them don't actually make their research. They just try to like do it for doing its sake, and that's the biggest mistake, because we end up sponsoring or giving money to the wrong people. There are creatives who really need this sponsorship, and at times there are people who we call the gatekeepers, and this money end up with these people and doesn't get to the people who can actually turn around the animation industry in the country. So most times you hear animation festivals sponsoring with funds for startup, blah blah blah. At the end of the day, you won't see any difference, because the money is not getting to those who are actually trying to bring out this industry, who have something to offer. It normally gets to people who have the name already. So
Yeah.
I think if anyone wants to like help or sponsor or do anything that is going to help the industry, they should actually take their time, make research, and see people who are actually doing this job, and people who have been doing it and who are not giving up. Not people who just have the name and who have the money to push their studio out there without actually caring about the industry, just about making money out of it. I understand it's business, but animation is it's more like a toddler. Yeah, we need to nourish it. We need to like take care of it before it grows. We can't just start reaping where we haven't sown. So it needs a lot of investment and a lot of support.
Yeah. Yeah. We have some great comments here. Mr. Oluwakayoti. I hope, and I know I kind of hacked it up, but appreciate you. Well done, boss. He also says, Noah, the real creatives don't get the funding, which is, I guess, always on the outside, us looking from the outside always see something different than the people that are actually like living there and receiving the funds. Because, from us, you see companies like Disney or Sony or some of the other companies going in and partnering with the studios. And it may be, like you said, just the studios that have the fund, kind of have the funding and kind of have the name to get, their product out there. Mr. Alvin, exactly, artists should hold a private crypto wallet in their own bank at that point. Um, and do you see more, I guess, independent creators starting to, put their own content out there? Like you said, now with, just the advent of today, you have all these channels like YouTube, Instagram, and some of the other social channels. Plus, all you have all this software. Do you see more independent creators starting to put work out there and start to take control of their own kind of content out there?
Yeah, the artists around here are very, very like creative. They are strong minded. They don't give up easily. So it's not about them putting their work out there. It's about, I don't know how to put it, but the point is, I've been doing this for a long time. Also, I was like, I had just 2,000 followers till around, let me say, August this year. That's how bad it is. And I upload my work. I do a lot of things. I even do some short animations. I've worked with studios. We've done great jobs. I've done personal jobs, but somehow it's not just clicking. So until I did one and somehow started having 10K, 20K, 30K followers. So it's not about, at times it's just clicks, and if you are not deep in the industry, you don't actually know who is actually good. You
Yeah,
understand? So, and it's not about the number of the followers. Some people are really good, but the way the internet works, if people don't discover you, they don't discover you. You can do everything possible. You can sponsor your post and everything, but you just need the right people to see your work, and from there you can start getting engagement and exposure, and people actually seeing you for what you do rather than you just trying everything in vain. At times it can be very, very frustrating doing it and nothing is coming up for you. You even getting broke doing personal jobs, because I've done some personal jobs like rendering, because rendering is very expensive, especially if you are doing high quality rendering. At times, I end up using, let me say, $300 to render a personal project. Yet,
wow.
yes, someone like no one is paying me for it. It's just personal project. So at times, you upload it and you get, let me say, 50 likes, 5 comments,
Yeah,
and no one is seeing it. No gigs from it. So it takes a lot for you to do another project after that. You understand? So, and most people, they don't even earn up to $200. Some don't even earn $100 per month. So it's very frustrating, but I know my people. They don't give up, and I hope very soon everyone gets the recognition they deserve.
yeah. Well, I mean, in Olu Wakayode, animation is a collaboration, and that's what we lack. Do you find that that's the case? Collaborating, people working together. That was another thing that he said, that people don't want to collaborate and work together. Do you find that to be the case? That a lot of artists don't want to work together, or don't want to collaborate, or kind of tend to stick with their own kind of people that they know.
Yeah, I understand that part, but in my own perspective, that's not the case, because you can't ask someone to collaborate when they don't even have something to eat. So people are creative, but they still need the funds to
Yeah,
back it up. So I can't ask someone to come and collaborate with me when I've eaten and the person I haven't eaten. The person will leave my job and look for a paid gig instead. So that's the way it is. Animation is actually a collaborative field. You can't do it alone. Some can, but it takes a lot of effort and time, and it's even more difficult. But yet, I would still say the thing we are lacking is the funding. If you have someone who can say, okay, do you guys have something you want to work on? What can you do? What can you do? If I should gather like, let me say 15 artists or even 5 artists, and we have enough funds, like, not, I'm not saying too much funds, like funds that will feed everyone for at least, let me say, 3 months, or
Yeah,
or 2 months. 2 months is even fine, because we can bring something out within 2 months. That is fine. People will work on it because people like doing what gives them joy rather than doing it for the commercial purpose. So if you can find like minds like you who wants to work on that, it's easier to convince them rather than looking for people who just want the money and walk away. You understand? So once we have the funding and everything, I think collaboration is the least. Yeah,
yeah,
people just need to be fine before working.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, and do you also find it the case that a lot of creators, say from Africa, are like going abroad, coming over to the States, or going to Canada or the UK to, because the industry is a little more funded there, or they feel like they're going to be able to make a little more living, or get into a studio. Do you find that that's the case with a lot of creatives over in Africa, that they're trying to get over to bigger studios, or a location where, like I said, the funding is there and the money is there for them to make a living?
Yeah, actually, every day that's happening in Nigeria. Like almost all our doctors have fled to UK. A lot of people, the bankers are running away. The artists also are running away. It's just the reality of the economy. We have the skills, we have the manpower, but somehow the government are failing us. So it's the same thing happening with the artists. They're also running away to just for greener pasture, nothing else, nothing personal. So people just need to be able to feed their family and fulfill their potential.
Yeah, yeah. And everybody just joining in, we're having a great conversation with my friend Noah here. Mr. Noah Parkin, good Saturday. Appreciate you stopping by. And we're going to take a look at some of Noah's work, because he does amazing work. So let's take a quick look at some of the artwork that he does here. Let's jump over here. Oh man! And like I said, you have a kind of a unique style. How long did it take you to kind of feel like you got comfortable to the point, where your art was, you were happy with your art and what you're doing? I know you're constantly growing, constantly working at your skill, but at what point did you feel like, okay, when I look at my work, I see the style, I see what I'm doing?
Yeah, so this current style, let me say I only came up with it roughly 2 3 months ago. I've been doing all kind of arts. Because if you look at my portfolio, you see illustrations, you even see traditional paintings there.
Yeah,
So, but something I believe in art is you need to be ready to like innovate, to come up with new things. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect people to just take it that way. I understand the fact that you need to have a unique style, but also you need to create new things. You need to like reinvent yourself every time. So that's one of the reasons why I did the new style, the stylized arts. I called the name icons. The icon is spelled IECON instead of ICON, icon. So one of the reasons why I named it that way is because one of the biggest feature is the eyes. The eyes are supposed to be big and no nostrils. So no nostrils means that they are not breathing. They are icons. ICON. They are more like doors, but when you see them, you know what they represent rather than trying to copy life forms, like everything, copying everything like you are doing a copycat. So I try to like do that and make something different. I know there are some art style which are similar to it, but if you look at it very well, you still see that it's a different art style on its own. From it being consistent with the fact that I don't give them no space, they all have big eyes. Even the people who have very small eyes, I give them big eyes, and still somehow try to look for a way to bring out their resemblance, even if I'm giving them features that they don't really have. So it's a very kind of tricky style, but it's fun. It's fun doing whenever I'm working on it.
No,
It
I
gives me
love
a
it.
kind of joy, like
I love it.
because I know this is my style.
Yeah, I love it. So, what like software do you enjoy working in? Is it the traditional Maya, or is it 3D Studio, or what's kind of your process, and what's kind of your process when you sit down to create a piece?
Yeah. So for the 3D, my base software is Maya. So with Maya, at times I don't even need to go to ZBrush. For the icon characters, I don't even use ZBrush for them. I just make everything in Maya because people who know me very well know how fast I am with Maya. So if I'm not creating anything realistic or complex, I don't even go to ZBrush. So
Yeah,
I create some of the models in Maya, I rig in Maya, I animate in Maya. The clothes, I normally do them with Maya also, but 2 3 years ago I started using Marvelous Designer to create the
yeah.
clothes. Initially I used Enclothes for the clothes. Enclothes is a system in Maya where you can do dynamic clothes that doesn't look stiff, that's actually react to physics. So but now I use Marvelous Designer. I've been using it for like 3 years or so.
Yeah.
So but other software I use is they are Maya, Marvelous Designer, Substance Painter, ZBrush. I started with when it's come to texturing, I started with Substance Designer instead of Painter because that was the one I was exposed to initially before getting to know Painter and finding out that it's even more easier to use Painter than Designer because with Designer you use Node, it's node based, so you have to connect nodes and everything and layers. So,
Is
but
that
I use
another?
other softwares, a lot
Is
of other softwares.
is that another big challenge? You were talking about just computers, software. Is that another big challenge? Getting your hands on the software uh, over there, because it's not over here. But I mean, is that part of the challenge over in Africa? Getting your hands on the software, or at least I guess professional, like really like the studio software like Maya or 3D Studio Max or something like that. Of course, there's software like Blender that's free that you can get that's really good, but is that part of the challenge that a lot of creators face? Just getting equipment because, like I said, rendering and animating, is really hardware intensive. And like you said, you could pay you know, $300 or more just in rendering something.
Yeah, so most of those softwares are actually very expensive, but as creative over here, we most of us started using the student version like Maya and everything. But now Maya is very very reasonable because I think they noticed that a lot of people were using the cracked version. So now the subscription now is very very affordable. Like even for 3D Smile. So now it's way easier for someone who is earning, let me say, $500 to be able to like afford Maya, unlike before. So people were actually switching to Blender because of that. But Blender is very fine also. But for people who have been using Maya for longer and who have a very strong workflow with it, they still prefer to use Maya. So I think if you are not working with a studio, then you have to either, if you are using the cracked, it's a lot of issues, and you can't even use it on a big project without getting sanctioned or getting yourself into a problem. So
Yeah.
it's either you buy it or you use a blender or you work with a studio. If you work with a studio, then definitely they are buying the software and you are just using it for their work. And if you are staying late, you can use it for your own personal works also.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what about like hardware? If you're not working for a studio, is that kind of difficult to get your hands on, or really expensive? What type of equipment do you use outside of, well, if you're not working at a studio, what kind of equipment do you use and tend to render on?
Yeah, so actually, buying a desktop or laptop over here is very expensive because at the end of the day, people who sell it to you, they purchase it using USD, that is the dollar. So whenever we tend to convert it here, it's very very expensive. I use a 3 gig RAM laptop for like let me say 6 years. I just bought my new system of 32 gig roughly 2 months ago. So I've been using a 12 gig RAM system for like let me say another 3 years or so. So it's very like difficult for us to like lay our hands on high quality desktop or laptop because of the price. So most times we just manage and we fight through it. At times, most software is crashed on us. We lose work progress. At times we feel like crying, but a man has to do what a man has to do. So
Yeah,
we just work on. So.
that is true. That is true. So for you, to this point, what's been kind of the your biggest learning lesson on your journey to this point? What's been the biggest and best lesson that you've learned?
Yeah, I think the best lesson I've learned is to believe you are not the best and you are not you are not even close to being the best. And whenever you put a work out there, be very sure that it's your current best because when you see it 2 months later, it's going to be like a very bad work. So whenever you see it like that, instead of you seeing it like a bad work, see it like um, a progress because you know that you are not where you used to be. Like creatively, you've grown and you are growing. So try to grow with every work. Try to make your latest work your best work because your next work is going to be far better. So just keep working, keep improving. Look at the works of great artists. Um, like people who have been long in the industry, people who do tutorials, buy courses if you can afford them. If you can't, go on YouTube, look for tutorials. Don't ever think you know it all. Even though you know it, look for new ways to do it. There may be a better way to do what you know how to do or a faster way. The more you do something, the more you realize that okay, you can do it faster. And if you can do it faster, there's someone else who can do it better. So try to improve and try to see that or believe that people are better. Once you believe people are better, you won't have any limits. You
Yeah.
keep improving it. But since if you see yourself like okay, you are there already. Before you know it, people who started learning, let me say 2 weeks ago, will be better than you in 2 years. So that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah. That's, and like I said, there's so many people, especially younger people, that just have all the time in the world. It seems to work on their stuff or 3D. They come out with some amazing work. What are your kind of hopes and dreams for what you want to create, kind of moving into the future?
Yeah, so earlier this year I registered my brand name, Noah Studios. So the plan is to actually like make it a full-fledged studio, but it's something you don't try to do on your own. So I'm trying to like build my brand, like build my name first as an artist, because I don't want it to be more like what I'm complaining about, just about business. People
Yeah,
who don't know anything about that I just like starting a studio and milking people, and at the end of the day, they are not improving the industry. So I want to like show people what I can do and expect things they can expect from me. So when they see it and I ask them for investing in my studio, they will be like sure that that is what they want to do. They are not doing it because maybe I'm pressuring them or I'm trying to get money off them. They'll do it happily because they know they're investing in the right studio. So I'm working on myself now. I'm working on my studios and I'm pushing my work out there. So when it's time for me to source for funding and start a full-fledged studio, I'm going to announce that, and hopefully I get the help.
So I'm curious to know what your thoughts, because I've been reading a lot about this lately, um, in a lot of posts about AI. You've done some work for NFTs, and that's all. That's also had its share of knocks from artists. So, what are your kind of thoughts on just the newer things that are starting to come down the pipe, like such as NFTs and AI?
Yeah, AI. I think that discussion. I posted something on Facebook yesterday about it. It's actually a very complicated discussion because um, I've seen a lot of angles, views. I've read a lot of things about it, but my own personal view is a bit negative when it comes to AI, because what we need tools. We don't need replacements, because once there is this kind of aggressive replacement, it's going to like affect the society entirely. Because if more than a million people are losing their job, you don't expect peace in the society. You understand? So I know that currently what it's doing is taking away illustration, taking away concept arts and everything. But if it's end up taking away, let me say, 3D animation, and it's killing more than three, four industry at the same time, it's going to be very negative on our society. Though it's doing it faster, but a lot of people are going to end up being jobless. And you know what happens when a lot of people are jobless? People still need to feed their family. You start seeing crime and everything.
Yeah.
So I just wish there's a way to just go about it, making it a tool rather than a replacement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I guess that's the way I look at it. And one, technology just you're not going to stop because it's just the nature of the world. I mean, the world progresses through technology and stuff. But I look at it as a tool, just like Photoshop, just like Maya, just like any other software or hardware out there. It's a tool for the creative, and I think, and I don't personally, I don't think it's going to replace 3D. I don't think it's going to replace the artist, because ultimately it's the artist that's going to really create the artwork. I think what what kind of worries me, or I think about, is that you got a lot of people that just aren't artists that can use just AI and just say, okay, I created this artwork, as opposed to using it in, say, an ideation process or coming up with different ideas to use in your artwork. I guess, like I said, that's my thought and take on it. I haven't
Yeah.
played around with it a lot. I've obviously seen a lot of people post, AI images and stuff like that. Obviously, it's still got a long way to go, but ultimately, in my view, it's just a tool for the creative to ideate, to come up with just different ideas or things like that. I've even seen some visual effects artists use AI to create a background, but they used it in with all the other elements that they used in After Effects and putting together a shot or something like that. So the AI wasn't the sole thing that they were selling. It was just part of a bigger project or part of a scene or something like that. So I don't know. Like I said, it's still early. It is still kind of the Wild West. I think a lot of people are, you know, kind of taking it from the mind of, say, like 3D. When 3D first came out, they all thought it was going to be a 2D killer. They all thought it was going to replace 2D animation, and the 2D illustrators and artists were freaking out because this new tool came out, and they felt like they were going to, and some of them did because they didn't want to learn 3D, but it didn't replace 2D. And I guess that's just kind of the way I tend to look at it. As far as NFT and say like the metaverse, do you think that's another thing that's gonna kind of take us off course, or do you feel like that's just another opportunity for creators to control their own IP, their own content, and reap the financial rewards from it themselves?
Yeah, so the metaverse, NFTs, and AI, I think they are very different conversations, because the society works in a way that you need skills to connect with income, but if it's AI, you don't need any skills. So it's something different entirely. Unlike 3D, 2D, you still need to learn those stuffs. But if an herbalist can just come and type some words and generate arts, when an artist can just type something into AI to be a doctor or to be an herbalist. So that's the fear of most of these artists, because other people can easily do their job without them being able to do the same. You understand? So it's something really affecting them. But the metaverse, I think, is still in its early stage. It's a very, very big thing, and I'm not expecting it to just succeed in its first trial. It's going to succeed, definitely. It's going to succeed, but I think it's bigger than what people are seeing it to be. A lot of people will be happy in the metaverse because it has no limitation unlike the real life. So it won't be easy to accomplish unlike the other technology we've been seeing. But I think whenever it's in its peak, it's going to be worth it. But currently, I know people are making fun of it, and especially Zuckerberg, about the fact that he has invested a lot in it and it's not coming up. But I think it's going to be worth it at the end of the day, because it's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah.
NFTs also, NFTs, because I did a bit of it earlier this year. I was able to like sell like 3 to 4 art pieces before I left it because it was difficult selling. So then I didn't even have up to 2,000 followers on my social media. So it was difficult selling. I had to like go to Twitter Spaces every day to sell, to beg collectors to buy, and it was taken away from my creative time, from the time I need to work on myself, work on new arts, and it was like, damn, this is difficult. So I just left it. I left it. So, but NFTs outside of the arts, NFTs is going to change a lot of things
Yeah,
about how we do business, how we keep our valuables, digital collections, and everything. So
yeah,
NFTs also, but the only thing, like you see, like AI, people are actually afraid of it, and they have the right to be.
yeah, yeah. And I think definitely, obviously benefits the person that's got a big following that can you know sell their they have a big enough following that's going to buy their work and this and that. But I know, like I said, I've heard a lot of people, like I said, give the rap of artist work being stolen or just lifted, you know. So I think they're all still in their infancy stages, and it's almost kind of like the Wild West, where everybody's doing different stuff, and they haven't really kind of centralized a lot of the rules or regulations surrounding a lot of this new technology that's coming out. So I think that's another thing that's got kind of people on edge there. Um, for you, have you had or do you have a mentor that kind of helps you or guides you along on your 3D journey, that is able to share their knowledge and their skill with you?
Yeah, actually. So where I did my internship, I was fortunate to have a very good boss. So he was the one who always encouraged me about trying everything out. So he is a generalist. So that's actually helped me also being a generalist, because he didn't just focus on animation or modeling or rigging. So he does everything. So he influenced my choice of being a generalist also. Whenever he gives me, let me say, a task of, let me say, modeling, and I show him, he's going to like just encourage me and say, okay, why not try this? Why not try this other thing? So with that, I was able to try a lot of things and improve in a lot of ways in a very short amount of time. So
Yeah.
his name is Richard Double. So he's the creative director of Orange VFX Studios. So is, if I'm saying anyone is my mentor in the industry, he is the one
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
actually mentored me.
And you call yourself a generalist. For you, is that kind of the best thing? Because I've had this conversation before with a lot of artists that and especially I guess it's depending on where you go, if it's a studio as big as Disney or Pixar or something like that, they tend to want you to focus in on one thing, niche down on one discipline that you're doing. For you, do you enjoy doing everything, modeling, rigging, animating, or are you eventually wanting to niche down into one specific thing?
Yeah, actually, I've been having that challenge also. Uh, it's true that bigger studios want you to just focus on one niche rather than doing everything. So big studios don't hire generalists per se. It's the new studios, the startup studios that love generalists. So for me, I just love doing everything. I love modeling, animating, rigging. At times, I get bored whenever I'm doing one for too long.
Yeah,
So yeah, so I get very bored. So that's why I see myself starting my own studio rather than doing a full-time job under a big studio, because the truth is they don't actually need a skill like mine. So it's it's better I work with a startup or I work on my own.
yeah, yeah. Or a smaller studio, like I said, that doesn't have a ton of people in each department, so they were going to
Yeah.
want you to put your hands on a lot of different things. And I think that's where a lot of creators do kind of find themselves after a while, um, niching, feeling like they need to niche down if their goal is to want to get into a studio. But I always think it's a good thing to know the whole pipeline,
Mm.
and know a little bit of everything of what you're doing, even if modeling or animating or texturing or matte painting is your eventual goal of wanting to get behind, and get into. I think it's still always good, to like I said, be aware or be knowledgeable of, okay, I know how to model, I know what goes into modeling, I know what goes into texturing and animating. And I'm kind of like you. I think I'd get bored after a certain period doing one thing, all the time, um, which I tend to kind of like doing a lot of different things. So, again, everybody just jumping in. We've been having a great conversation with 3D Generalist, my friend Noah here. Please make sure that you jump into the comments. I'm going to just say Mr. O. Met you once at a Comic Con and felt elevated hearing you talk. Do you plan on doing a lot of? Do you enjoy speaking, and kind of teaching or sharing yourself? Is that something that you think you might do more of as you get into your career?
Most times, people who know me knows that I'm in every room. I'm the most quiet, so I don't talk often. So I'm not sure it's something I'll do, or if need be, I can, because I've actually mentored a few people. So I think I can, but it's not something I see myself doing in the nearest future if I'm to choose what I want to do. But if need be, if I'm to do it, definitely I'll do it. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's
Well,
not my thing.
how would you hope to, I mean, inspire the younger generation or younger kids like you were, um, just in Nigeria and other parts of Africa or just the world? How would you hope to inspire them, with your work?
Yeah, so I hope I succeed fully because I'm still in that journey, and I know success is not a destination, but it's a journey. So I hope that whenever I get to that point I'm targeting, I'm focusing on, I can look back and say, okay, I did it. And when I get to that point, I want other younger artists, especially the ones coming from the trenches in Africa, to see it and see that someone like them have done this before. And you don't let poverty kill your dream. Just go for it, no matter what it takes. Have a price to pay, and whenever it crosses that price, that is the only time you can say, okay, you can try something else. As long as you're staying in the let me say the legal part of it, you're not committing any crime, give it whatever it takes for you to succeed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, what? Because I mentioned earlier, you know, Disney and some of the other countries or some of the other studios are going in and partnering with, studios such as, Kali,
Kingali.
Kingale, and some of the other studios. What are, some of the what are your thoughts on just the types of stories starting to come out, from, Africa? Um, Obviously, Africa's rich in a lot of different stories and a lot of different things. I mean, are you encouraged with some of the things that you're starting to see come from some of the studios there over to here or over to some of the other countries? Or do you feel like the studios here, you know, are or aren't being authentic to the creators over there?
It's kind of complicated to say it the way it is. The truth is, from my experience, most studio they will sponsor you, they will partner with you on some condition, the condition that you dance to their tunes. It's very controversial for me and upcoming to be saying this kind of thing, but that is the truth. So at times, it all depends on the individual or the studio. If it's something you want to do, then why not? Everyone needs the money. But the truth is, Africa has a lot of original stories that doesn't even have a Western influence that can be told. But most of these stories, whenever partnership comes in, they try to dilute it, they try to make it an international story, they try to like infuse their culture, they try to make it more acceptable
Yeah,
to the Western world. So I think that's one of the issues I'm having with that partnership. If we are able to like get more people who can see African stories for African stories and believe that people can actually look at these animations, these stories, and still relate with it and love it for what it is rather than love it because it sounds more like their own story. I think that's going to like help the partnership be a more positive one rather than just whitewashing our culture in the name of partnering. Yeah, a lot of African stories are coming out, but whenever you look at it, you still see that there is still this Disney feel, this Pixar feel in it. I understand that we learned these animations from the Western world, but we've always had art from cave painting
yeah,
to sculpture. But basically, we have in Egypt, you can see we have this cave painting there in Benin, in Asia, a lot of in Ife, we have sculptures, and if you see the style, they are basically, let me say, stylized art. Africans don't like doing realistic that much, though we have the capacity, we have the capabilities to do this. Because if you look at artworks from the ancient Benin and Ife, you see realistic works that are way more realistic than some of these European civilizations, like the Greek. And it's controversial, but if you compare the time when these works were done, you see that okay, this one is better than this one, and it's the truth. So we've always had arts, and we have our own story to tell. If we are given the 100% freedom to like tell these stories with the backing of the current technology needed to achieve this and the proper funding, I think the world is going to see a more interesting thing rather than a one directional thing that we are feeding ourselves. I love seeing works or stories from other culture. Recently, I watched a series. The title is Ragnarok. It's actually it's a modern setting of this is it Greek mythology or so, but it's very interesting because it exposed me to a culture I really don't know, and the fact that you can still relate it to the modern time.
Yeah.
And I see that this is not my culture, and I can't even imagine this. It gives me this happiness of seeing something new entirely rather than something I've been seeing every time. So we need to expose ourselves to other things rather than trying to like, because I'm funding you, you have to do it the way I want or the
Yeah.
way my people like it. Your people will like something else, and you don't know. You are not your people. You are just one of them. You are just part of them. I think we need people to see it from this perspective, and with this, I think it's going to make a world a better place.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Definitely, there are so many stories out there told from so many different perspectives, and I think we can appreciate and still relate to everything. We're all a part of the human race. We can all relate on certain levels on things and still appreciate that. Again, everybody that's just tuning in, we've been having a great conversation with my friend Noah here. And I do want to be respectful of his time because it is late over in Nigeria. So make sure that you connect with Noah on some of his social channels here. You can find him definitely on Twitter, uh, Twitter and Instagram. Again, all this information, the names of the university that he attends, well, all of this information will be in the show notes on the YouTube channel. So make sure that you hop on over there, connect with him, check out more of his work on the Instagram. Like I said, I just pulled a small fraction of it for sure. Does some, like I said, amazing stuff. And like I said, what really encourages me is just the creatives that are starting to come out of the continent and really tell, want to tell their original stories. And like I said, you have such a breadth of stories to tell that I'm highly encouraged, and I hope, and my hope is that the studios that may go over there to partner with them, don't, and I tend to kind of water them down for whatever reason it may be. I get, like you were saying, bottom line for them is business, and they want to know that it can make money, so they're gonna try and make it accordingly. But I am hopeful and encouraged for creatives during this time because we do have all these outlets and opportunities to get our work out there, even if it's not going through the big studio. Um, No, it's been such an amazing opportunity getting you to come on the show, really share your work, what you're doing, your thoughts on the journey, and super excited about future work coming out from it. I can't wait to get you back on the show for sure. What would be a parting word that you would like everybody to know about you, your work, what you're doing, Africa, Nigeria? What would be a parting word that you would like to leave the viewers?
Yeah, I just think I want people to see me more like a traditional African artist, a traditional African man who is trying to like tell a traditional African story in the African way rather than with using the Western medium, of course, the animation medium, but bringing these stories that haven't been told before because we have a lot of stories and I want people to like pay attention to my space because I'll be like saying a lot of these. I'll be doing a lot of things. I'm currently working on a short animation. I've done the voiceover. Yeah, so I'm currently.
Oh, we lost Noah. Hopefully he'll be back. Let me hop over here. Hopefully he'll log back on. Um, but for everybody, like I said, it has been, like I said, an amazing show. Definitely, again, I threw up Noah's information. All that stuff will be on the show notes for sure. Hopefully, he'll get a chance to log back on before we close it out here. Um, Everybody, like I said, you guys have been the best viewers, the best guests. It's been a great season 2. I'm so super excited about the upcoming season and the things that I've planned, the guests that I've got coming on, and just can't wait for you to come along for the ride. Make sure that, you hop on over, join all the channels because it definitely helps to continue to grow the group, the family. I like to call it the family. He's logged back on. The family, and definitely want you to be a part of it for sure. Let me hop over here. Let's see if we can get Noah in here. Yes. We're gonna move this over and up. Try and move it over. We're cutting it off there, Noah. So I don't know if you can. There we go. I was saying real quick there, Noah. It's been an honor and a pleasure having you on. I know you were saying what you were just working on. You can go ahead and finish that. Let us know what you're working on, the animation that you're working on, before we close it out there.
Yeah, so sorry, I didn't plug my iPad, so it's off now. So I'm on my phone. So I think that's all for now. So I'm working on the new animation. It's the traditional stories set up in modern scene. So you guys should just look out for it. Thank you.
And we're definitely going to keep everybody abreast of what's going on with Noah, when it's going to come out and everything. Make sure, like I said, that you get plugged into the Facebook group, the YouTube channel, because he'll be in there and we'll always be updated with what's going on with Noah and what's coming, what work is coming out from Noah. So make sure that you get plugged in as well. Noah, if you could hang out for just 1 second while I close out the show, I would appreciate it. But everybody, please help me thank my friend Noah for coming on and just sharing a little bit of his time over in Nigeria there. Noah, please hang out for just 1 second while I close out the show. But everybody, it's been such a blast. Let's thank Noah again for being on the show. Guys, gals, like I said, it's been such a blast doing this, having great guests on. Noah was amazing guest for sure, and definitely looking forward to having him back on the show. So can't wait for that. Also, again, make sure that you hop on over to the YouTube channel. Like I said, there you'll find all his information. And all the show notes for that. But again, like I said, this has been one hell of a second season. And I cannot thank you, the viewers, enough for making it a great one for sure. So just stay tuned for season 3. It's going to be even bigger blast, and I can't wait for that to happen. Also, make sure you hop on over to the store. Check out some of our swag. As you can see, I got mine on here. The store is now open. You can get you some Color of Motion swag for sure. Shirts, hoodies, and whatnot. Definitely, like I said, helps to continue to bring great content to you. So definitely want to see. And if you do get some swag, make sure you send pictures so that we can post them on the channels for sure. So I definitely want to get as many people in some Color of Motion swag as I can. Mr. Antoine, I appreciate that. So looking forward to your episode. He is another amazing guest in season 3. So some of the guests that are coming up. He is coming up in season 3. So looking forward to that as well. Appreciate you, brother, for stopping by and being a part of the show. Man, oh man, oh man. Like I said, season 3 is going to be a blast. Our next guest to kick off season 3 is Miss Charmaine Johnson, comics and black pop culture podcaster with Blurred Co Mixed. She's going to be on to kick off our season 3, so super looking forward to having her on, talking comics, black pop culture, and just having an all-around good time. So you definitely don't want to miss our new season next year. So I can't believe it, but this closes it out. Man, oh man, I hope everybody has a great and safe holiday wherever it is you may be going, if you're going anywhere. But enjoy family and time together. I'm going to miss you guys for the next 2 weeks for sure, but hey, it's going to be a nice little break there, and I'm so looking forward to coming back fresh for season 3. Well, with that, man, it's been a blast for sure. I can't thank you guys enough. I always do this. I thank you for always supporting the show. So, I won't say see you next week, but I will see you next season. Same bat time, same bat channel. Everybody have a great weekend and a great holiday. Cheers, everybody.